Hi, this is Cheryl, and this is my channel, Savage Insomniac Radio. I'm gonna try doing a little bit of crocheting on camera. I'll probably try to start with a pattern the next time that I'm in here. I don't know. So for people that are learning, it's hard if somebody chooses a really hard pattern. So I want to see. I want to think about it. Um, because even when I choose patterns, I try to make them so that they're doable for people that are at least beginner crocheters. But this is something I want to do to where I show you how to do it. If you get frustrated, it's okay. It's really it's hard to learn an art. Anyway, when I do a slip knot, it's really basic. I just kind of put my here we go. So yeah, join next fingers and I just kind of wrap it around a couple of fingers actually. Doesn't matter if it's three. And then I pull this area through and then just that's it. The reason I say that the way I did is I've seen a number of videos with people sorry about that. I've seen a number of videos. See, I don't even always do it. Videos of people talking about it. It's like they really go into a lot of detail and it's like, am I doing something weird with my slip knots? But whatever. So I'm using a G hook. This is an organic yarn. It's I forget the link now, the name of the company.
It's Eco Butterfly.
Eco Butterfly, and it is um, DK weight. It's really, really nice yarn. It's sent with a lot of thought. And, the packaging is not wasteful at all.
Very recyclable.
It's all from post-consumer waste. She was very good about explaining stuff to me, helped me get the size I wanted. Okay, so, and it crochets really nicely, as you can see. I mean, even if you've not crocheted before, if you're not crocheted before, you're probably frustrated. Anyway, so after you make that slip knot, you just have like a chain on the hook. I'm sorry, I want to make sure I keep this in view because my daughter told me I had to make sure. And so then you're gonna just hold. You have to make sure you hold this tail right beneath that knot, and you're just gonna this is a chain. This is the first part of crocheting. Now, I was talking earlier about what type of projects I thought people should do at first. It's really best when you're first crocheting to just stick to maybe making a small rag. I'd say something like, something small that's very cute, like a booty, which was one of my second projects, but I actually had been crocheting a few years by the time I did that. And so I would just crochet, I would make, see how many chains I have. So this is the biggest thing you're doing at first. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So it's not quite wide enough for a little rag, like exfoliating rag or something. I'll do a little bit more. That's probably enough. So I did 20, and then I'm gonna chain 1 because I'm gonna do single crochet. So when you're first crocheting, this chaining is very annoying. It takes getting used to it, and I always and you have to. So when you're doing, you take your pinky, and then you go like that and pull forward. So you pull your. That's how you do it, and then you're holding. Like I always just hold. You saw it at the beginning. I was holding down beneath the knot, and as you go up, you're gonna change where you're holding stuff. So if I wanted to keep going from here, I'm just gonna. You might have to change position because I took my finger off there. But so when you're going back, obviously it's around your hook. This doesn't count. This is your chain 1. And then you're going to go into the next free loop. And let me be clear, like there's this free loop in the front and then there's one in the back. And then you can turn the whole thing over, and you can go in. A lot of people do. They go into this area in the back, these back loops. How do I feel about that? Okay, sometimes you want that to be really clean, and so you will, but I don't think that's a good thing for beginners, so I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to go into this front loop here on the top. It's away from you. It's the one furthest away from you. And I'm going to do that in the first one, and then this is second. I'm going to go all the way across. And I'm actually going to leave it in real time because it's frustrating enough when you're just crocheting without being able to see it, or with seeing sped up video. So you can kind of see when I do this. I'm sorry, I need to talk about how I'm doing this. So you go into that loop. It's just one loop. And then you pull a yarn around the hook and up, and then pull yarn over again and pull through. So into this, yarn over. Now you got 2 yarns on your hook, then yarn over, pull through. Now if you've already crocheted and you're here, so you got the 2 again, then this is just a little review for you. Then in to the, just pulling up one loop on the hook, and then wrap around and pull through. This is really, it's just a basic single crochet. What I want to do, it's a bit ambitious of me, but what I want to do is, if people on here have been struggling with that first, the chaining, I want to actually just have people give me an address, and I'll just pop in the mail the beginning part of a chaining of a certain type of yarn. I'll have to be something popular. And that way a person could try it. I haven't decided what I'm going to do. They could try it, and they wouldn't have to do that first chaining, because my daughter learned to crochet and she didn't have to do that as much. And she's really pretty good at crocheting now, and I think it's because I didn't have her do that chain one, chain. Like, I did that, and it wasted a good number of years where I could have been crocheting until I met someone who helped me pass that. So I just keep going in, pulling up the yarn over, and pull through those 2 loops. I go in, wrap around, and you have 2 yarns on, wrap around, pull through. I know it can be daunting with learning stuff. Wrap around, pull through. And this is the last one. Got 2 in there again, and then wrap around, pull through. I noticed when I was trying to learn knitting that it felt really intricate to me. One thing I can say about crochet is when you go and do a line of crocheting, and you chain 1 at the end, and then you turn, the next line is no different. It's the same. It doesn't really feel much different. It feels a little bit different after in the first row. Like when you're doubling back. So I chained 1 at the end, because you're going through, rather than what I did the first time, you only have a chain. Now you have an actual stitch. So you're going to go into this hole, and I'm going to show it to you. I hope you'll be able to see. So when you look at this if you turn your work towards you, you can see 2 loops on there. It's the top 2 loops of your work. So you're going through, you're going to yarn around and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through again, and then it makes your first official stitch. So you're just going to keep going through and pull, to where you have 2 loops. And I'll probably do this a few times because I know people aren't going to have. So go in. Sorry, I just want to make sure people are seeing it. And sometimes I've had trouble with people crocheting, and it frustrates me. But wrap around, and then wrap around and pull through those 2. So go into this hole, and then you're going to see these 2 yarns on the top, and you wrap around, and then you'll have 2 on the 2 loops on the hook, and then you wrap around and pull through. You have to keep doing that. It's the same thing over and over again. Oops. It's the same thing over and over again, whereas with knitting, I know it might be. Sarah, did it feel weird to you knitting on the second row?
It did to me, partially because I wasn't sure what I was doing because the video we watched wasn't explaining it the best.
And I have to make sure I am too, so bear with me as I learn how to do it. But you go into this thing, if you look at your work, can you see Sarah on there?
Yeah.
Okay, you're trying to make sure you have these the two top loops. It's just, so then you've got
Kind of
two
looks
on
like
there.
a little V almost.
Yes. Whereas in the first row, you can't do that because you can only go into the front loops. So what this is going to amount to for your first thing is, the idea is to just be as even as you can. Okay, like you can make a small rag with this, and you will have 20 stitches. Because I think I did 21 chains. And so you're just going to keep doing this. This doesn't change from row to row. You're still going to keep going in. I can teach different stitches, but right now, this is what I'm teaching. And I have to say, I have some respect for people who actually get on there and teach crocheting. It's not easy. And it's why sometimes I get frustrated with it, but I think sometimes they say stuff like, to accentuate what they're doing. Like that lady, Sarah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do exactly that, but I will say, I kind of get it. Because like here, you need to go in, make sure you have the 2 loops on top. It looks sort of like a V. And you wrap your yarn around and you do it again. You almost have to say all that. So in, wrap around, to pull up the yarn. Now you have 2 on there, and then wrap around and pull through again. And so with this type of a project, you're going to keep doing this over and over and over again until you have kind of a square. And you want to measure gauge to see that it's staying even. That's the most important thing, and why I don't think a big project is good. So you can see it's kind of lacy and kind of pretty.
It's very pretty.
It's a single crochet. And I think it would make a nice rag for like the face.
That would be a good starter project for someone who's just beginning to.
So at the end there, single chain. Let me go back. It's one thing I can't stand is when I don't see something. When I'm doing, I just can't stand it. I've watched enough videos. So chain 1 at the end. You don't need to chain it that tightly that I just did. And then turn your work. See, even I have where it falls off my hand sometimes. You just have to get used to that. Those are the frustrating things about early crocheting, is holding your work, getting used to holding your work and creating, working on that tension. That
it's really hard at first to hold
it
the
is.
tension, so it's normal to have.
And then what I'm doing here, I'm working with like a huge cone of yarn. So just, don't do that. Like use a ball of yarn. Because otherwise like it can cause problems. I'm used to crocheting, and so I'm not worried about those problems. But let me tell you something. I've had a couple problems creep up because I was working on a skein. So it's best to just make sure you have one that flows freely from the center of the skein inside when you pull the yarn from the inside, or one that you've rolled into a ball. So I know this isn't perfect instruction, but I hope it's enough for someone to get an idea. So I'm just going to a little bit more. So in, wrap around, you got 2 on the hook, wrap around, and then pull through. In, wrap around, 2 on the hook, wrap around, pull through, and just keep doing that. And when you get to the end of there, chain 1 and then come back around. My guess is, for a rag, I don't know, you're probably gonna, let's see, I did 21. You're gonna probably need to do at least another 20 You're probably going to do
Yeah.
20 rows this way.
Probably. If you're wanting a small
You might even want to do 30.
Or in that case, that even could be like a big coaster.
Yeah, yeah.
But you're going to want to probably...
You're going to want to do this till it comes to about here.
As you get it bigger, too, try to fold it into a triangle.
Yes.
To see how...
Yeah, because if you fold it, this isn't big enough for me to do this with, but as it gets bigger and bigger, you'll be able to fold this over. I can see where it's not that size yet. See, but if it was a lot bigger... Thank you, Sarah. So thank you. So if once you get it to a certain point, then you'll fold it over. And if it's reached that point where it's a square, this is actually a rectangle, but then you know you've gotten enough. Or if it's reached an appropriate size. So that's what I would work on. Minimally, I would work on doing that chaining. And so, because I actually don't care whether or not it doesn't matter to me. So I'm just going to show one more time. I mean, I crochet enough that it doesn't matter to me. If I crocheted something, I'd have to take it out. So I'm going to go back and just, for anyone who might have missed it and doesn't want to go back to the beginning of this thing. It's just, I don't think this is any kind of rocket science thing. Do you, Sarah?
The slip knot?
Yeah, it's like...
It isn't, although I think I had some trouble at first.
Okay, so put it around your finger. You can just even use one. I don't know what these people are doing on YouTube.
Then take the tail and grab it.
Yeah, grab the tail. I grab both parts like that.
Yeah.
And then I do this. I have no idea what they're doing on there. There's a lot of really fancy,
there's some weird ones.
Fancy work. I don't want to get it. So then you're gonna wrap around. Hold on to where the knot is.
Yeah, the knot, or at least the tail.
And then this, I'm sorry, but it's just a matter of wrap around like that. So wrap around your pinky and then let it
weave it under the two middle fingers and up over the pointer.
And then up over there. And this is a matter of getting used to it. But you're going to hold this. Make sure that you've got a free-flowing yarn. Otherwise it can screw your tension up. So just chain. I would chain 20, 21 for this. And just keep chaining. Work at it. It's with you. It may look a little bit more like, you know, crazy.
If it's your first chain, it's going to kind of be all over the place. I know mine
might look like. It may even look really big and it may be frustrating. It's okay. It doesn't have to look good. It doesn't. So once you get your 20, then you'll add on, I don't know how many I did there, but I'll just pretend. Like, let's say I had 20. Then you add on one more, and then just start churning around. This one doesn't, this is on the hook, it's attached. It's this right here. You're going to go into the next one. So 1, 2 from the hook. And the reason why is because this acts as your chain 1. That's what I understand. Yeah. And so you're going to go into this top loop. It's furthest from the hook. Wrap around. Now you got 2 on the hook. Wrap around. Not used to crocheting as loosely as I just did. But that's why I said it's a little harder when you do it that way. And then wrap around. Got 2 on the hook again. Wrap around and pull that yarn through. Go into the next. It will look a little, it can look a little messy on this round.
It always does kind of on the first chain.
And the reason I show that kind of dirty stitching is because then you can know how yours might look. Go straight through, wrap around. Once you get through that first wrap around and then go through these 2, once you get through this whole thing and you do chain 1 at the end and come back, and once you do that a certain amount of times, you're going to get better and better and better, and it will look more like what I did at first.
I know you had me just keep repeating little squares, swatches.
Because you want to work on that
That's
first.
What I learned.
So I hope that gives you a little idea. And I'm going to pick out something. I might even just work on that particular thing and do another video of it and show it. I just want to make sure, and I might just choose something else too. But work on that. Practice those steps, because that's what you need to do a blanket or a basic scarf or a small rag, is you need that type of basic stitch. It does take some persistence, but if you hang in there, you will actually get to being fairly decent at that stitch within a couple of months. or so, I think. It's just getting past that first line of chains and the first line of single crochets after it.
Yeah.
And then getting your gauge done. That's why I want you to try to do a 21 stitches first, and we're going to just doing a square. Okay, I will try to do some other stuff in here. I hope this is, I want to kind of take a look at video quality. I might have to buy some equipment. But I will see you at the next one. Bye-bye.